like to welcome y'all back to the 90 Proof Lounge, conversations of the 90s, the golden era, 100% hip hop and G-Funk, Nick Cleve and Spliff. And tonight we got another legend in the house, a member of one of the most successful groups in not only rap, but music in general, Bone Thugs and Harmony, a straight legendary vet to the game. It's my pleasure to welcome Layzie Bone. How you doing, bro?
Oh man, I'm blessed by the best, my brothers. How y'all feeling, man?
We're good, bro. It's a pleasure to have you here, really.
I appreciate y'all having me. Anything for that golden era, baby.
Hell yeah. So as we always do about this time, we're just gonna get right into it, man.
Okay.
So with your career, yourself and your family, your Bone, your group, you guys have been a part of so many incredible, amazing projects, and it's nonstop. So I just want to get into a little bit of detail about the projects that you were a part of, and we'll start with East 1999, Internal, arguably a masterpiece, one of the best albums to come out of hip hop in the 90s and to this day. So I just wanted to get into the details of that project. I mean, with Easy kind of helping with the concept and you guys delivering on every single song, and DJ Unique getting nominated for a Grammy, Crossroads winning the Grammy. It's endless. Can you touch on what some of those studio sessions were like, what it was like to be a part of that project with you and Bone, and just everything, the whole process was?
I mean that album right there, man. We got to remember we was just coming off of Creeping on the Come Up, our the first EP that we did with Easy E. So we was riding pretty high. You know what I'm saying? So that whole era, that whole album was like a dream. It was like each session you was walking into a smoke filled, dreamy, another place, other place than Earth. You know what I mean? Because it was like it was out of here. You had Easy E, Unique, like you said, man. And the creativity was bouncing off the wall so heavy that it was like it was mesmerized. You know what I mean? If anybody could bear witness to being in one of those sessions, it was mesmerizing to say the least. You know what I mean? Because it was nonstop. Bone Thugs and Harmony, we was working like clockwork. You know what I mean? Like as soon as Busy finished, I go, Crazy go, Wish go. The competition was so good and healthy within the clique. You know what I mean? It was just magic. We was making magic every session. Just think of a magical Puff the Dragon session of five brothers from the double Glock blowing down big with Easy E. It was
Hell
crazy,
yeah.
man.
Hell yeah. And with when it comes down to how many tracks, I mean, because it's nonstop all the way through, every single song is a heater. So, if you had to pick, what were some of your favorite songs that you got to be a part of on that album?
I mean, damn, that's hard. That's really hard to say. Like that's my life work right there, man. Like you really can just literally push play and go all the way through. You know what I mean? Like just start off with the intro. The intro was a song compared to how intros was back then. Like we really, we had to hype it up, the harmonies, and man, that shit was crazy. Then you had songs like Down 71 Getaway. You know what I'm saying? Where we told those stories of me being a preacher, and well,
It's all good.
Busy Bone created a story. I mean, well, he killed somebody in the song, went to jail, was on death row. I went in as the preacher and got him out and got him while he was on death row. And Crazy Bone was the getaway car. So it was stories like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that that's memorable that people don't even really take time to do story raps like that no more, let alone a three-part story rap. Then you had songs like Shoot 'em Up. Well, no, Shoot 'em Up wasn't even on there, but that's another story. I mean, it's just like songs like Land of the Heartless, the hype shit on Land of the Heartless. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
That we was going far so bad, you ain't born. You know, all the B-side material. You know what I'm saying? Like even shots to the double Glock, where we highlighted our homeboys from St. Clair. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, man, it was the gumbo on there was so thick with the production, man. It's hard. it's impossible for me to name one or two. The whole album, it's a classic.
I
If I
agree.
was in the group or not, I would still say that's a hip hop classic.
Absolutely, man. And it was crazy that you mentioned shots from the double Glock because after you had done that, you know, you and Crazy went in and started Mo Thugs and Mo Thugs, it was so crazy to see that because you went from, you know, putting on for Cleveland to really going back and getting a army of soldiers from Cleveland and making an unbelievable group. And then that ended up doing extremely well too. So I mean, you really put on for the city, right?
Yeah, we put on for the city, man. It was like, we got out of there. We felt like we got out of the fire in the nick of time. You know what I'm saying? So it was only right to go back and grab the hands of people that we grew up with, that we knew that did music. So it was just like we was trying to change for the better. We was trying to get out the streets, man. So it was inevitable for the Mo Thug project to come next. And yeah, that thing went 8 times platinum. You know what I'm saying? That was my first time as a CEO following Eazy-E's footsteps, 8 times platinum out the gate, right out like in the first year or two. And then yeah, man, and it didn't stop. We had one Mo Thug one, then we went to two, and then I did three, four independent. It kept going, man. So we was able to change a bunch of lives.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's incredible. And it's cool because you do actually see a lot of that as a tradition in hip hop, especially coming out of the 90s. A lot of people that made it successful brought everybody they could with talent to the forefront.
Right. Yeah, I mean, hip hop was still brand new. Like coming from nothing, the thing to do was to share the wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, that's what we was doing. We just wanted to share. We wanted everybody to feel as good as we did about being successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we felt like, what was the use of us going home to the hood and flaunting? You know what I mean? When we could be critiquing and being creative with those that we love, and that's how I always saw it. And we had that plan from early on. You know what I mean? Our very first tape that came out in '91 was Faces of Death, which was a Cleveland classic, independently done. But we was already claiming Mo Thugs back then. So the plan over time, the plan just it snowballed effect into, everything that we dreamed of.
Absolutely.
So with the Faces of Death album, as you said, came out in 91, that was Stony Burke out of Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah. It might
How
have been
much
'92, but
Yeah, around that time. There was a particular MC I had noticed when I was looking into a lot of the music. Now I don't think he did any music with you, but I've seen pictures with you of him. His name's K Chill.
yeah, K Chill was a Band-Aid boy. We had a group back in junior high.
Right,
The
right,
Band-Aid boys, the Band-Aid boys split up when we all went to high school because uh, K Chill was able to go to Glenville, which is our neighborhood school, but the rest of us got bused to the west side, and we went to Lincoln West High. So that's what kind of broke that fusion right there. But yeah, we was in a group together back then. You know what I mean? K Chill, the Band Aid Boys, man, we was doing it. You know what I mean? And then K Chill actually he had an album out. He was working with the guy Kermit Henderson from Stony Burke,
right.
and he had an album called Chill Factor. And at that time, you know, everybody had grew up a little bit, but I was still rocking with K Chill a little bit, and I was his hype man for a minute. You know what I mean? So that's how I got to deal with Stony Burke and brought it back to the fellas. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, K Chill been very instrumental in my life, man. He actually helped me. He actually wrote one of my first raps because I used to beatbox and shit.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I heard a bunch of his freestyles and a little bit of the newer stuff that he did, and you could tell that he was both lyrical as you were. And I always
Yeah,
found that you had like the formulas going on and flipping kind of your lines around as you were telling your stories. And you always have an inspiration or somebody to bounce off of, and it felt like he was sort of that guy for you in the beginning. Was there a reason why he wasn't part of Mo Thugs?
Um, well, not exactly a reason, but he got into business and he do it and he does business and renovations of houses and things. It was just a natural thing. That's still my friend, you know what I'm saying? It's and we may even do something together again before it's all over with, you know what I mean? But we just went our separate ways and life took me to California and he grew successful in what he was doing in Cleveland.
Nice. That's all love,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So I just want to go back to Ruthless. You guys get to Ruthless. Bone hits the industry by storm. Like to this day, the most unique rap group of all time, in my opinion. You guys come and you got Eazy-E, who is just already a legend at that time, and you come on there. You come out with Creeping on a Come Up. I've always been confused and wondered why Straight Off the Motherfucking Streets of Compton comes out. Huge record right around the time that you guys are doing your second album as well. And just curious where, that was an unbelievable album. And how did you guys not fit into that album?
Because so you got to remember, we were some kids from Cleveland, Ohio. He found us on the humbug. He already had a system in place. He was working with Shaky, Rhythm D. Um, he had a team already. You know what I mean? Cocaine, Above the Law, Hutch and them, um,
BG
BG
Knockout.
Knockout and Drayster.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he was already on tour with them. So when Easy brought us to the table, he kept us in the studio while he was still working with his original team. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of kept us away from everything. We was like a secret. Yeah, we was more like a secret weapon that Easy he was, that had in the cut that nobody really knew what he was working on the side. But he was working his album, and he was actually finna put out his album uh before Creeping on the Come Up, but he withheld his album and put our EP out. And that's how excited he was about what we was doing. So he was like, and then we put out Creeping on the Come Up, and then his album came out, and then we started going to work on East 1999 Eternal. And by the time we finished that album, he had passed away.
Yeah, rest in peace.
No
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah, Creeping on a Come Up. For me, that one's flawless. I know it's an EP. It's only actually what 5 or 6 songs, but I don't think there's anything at all wrong with that album. It blows me away. The Creeping on a Come Up bass line, the actual song. What did you think when you
Ooh,
heard that?
man, that shit was mean. Like I say, like certain things you hear, like it wasn't party, it wasn't too fun, it was a story, you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
we we was creeping on the come up, we robbing banks and jewelry stores and shit, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it felt like that bass line just felt like you had to narrate that thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, when I first heard that shit, we was mind blown. I'm
I
telling
bet.
you, we from Cleveland, man. We was mind blown even to be in the presence of Easy E. It was so brand new, like famous. We was like, Easy E was famous to us, so we was fucking mind blown for real.
Yeah, no doubt. And when it comes to Cleveland, I mean, like I said, you guys are just the most unique rap group. So you guys had literally set the bar so high for Cleveland with other artists. Did you guys have any closeness with other artists that were coming out of Cleveland at the time? Because you look into it, and I don't think, like I said, the bar was so high for other artists. You made it pretty much impossible for artists to, you know, unless they were with you and Mo Thugs to even make it out of Cleveland. So what was your relationship with some of the guys? Like, I don't know if you knew who Brothers for the Struggle was, or guys that were coming out of Cleveland and doing their thing. What was that like?
Ready rocks.
Now they got the chop
There's
chop.
where the ready rocks. Yeah, they get to the chop chop. Man, paycheck all them my niggas, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Cleveland had a scene. We was the youngsters. You know what I'm saying? We was younger than Brothers for the Struggle and Johnny O and you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, Cleveland was heavy on the R&B too, because we had Levert, we had Men at Large. You know what I'm saying? Like we Cleveland was it was a pumping music scene, but for hip hop, you know, it's just like we couldn't get nothing off the ground. We had Stony Burke, but he robbed us, man. I don't even like talking about him. Like he gave us fucked up contracts, which forced us to go try our hand. Cause like I say, we were successful in Cleveland. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like we probably could have built the whole thing up from there, but um, you know, it wasn't organized. It was still hip hop was new. You know what I'm saying? Like still in its teenage stages. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like it wasn't there for us, but we always had a great relationship with all the artists there. We did all the talent shows, Glenville talent show, Shaw talent show, Woodhill talent show, anything you could name in Cleveland that had to do something with music and talent, we was there. You know what I'm saying? Bone Thugs and MC Brains. That's my dog. You feel me? Like so. Yeah, we was close with all of them. Like, and then MC Brains had won one show that we did, and the prize was to get with Ice Cube, and we thought he was coming out through Ice Cube, and he ended up with Michael Bivins from Bell Biv DeVoe, New Edition, and all that. So, you know, yeah, we was all close, but we was all scattering trying to make something happen for the city, and it's just so happened that we was the ones, man.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. And coming
Yeah.
out to LA, I mean, you guys had your own style, definitely coming from Cleveland too, with the khakis and the Tim boots on creeping on to come up, and just your whole style was bone, right? So you guys going out there and linking up with Easy. I mean, what was it like with the, because I know that you guys had some issues with Death Row. Like what was that like going out to LA and just being new to LA from the jump, and then just jumping right into kind of the heat of everything, being a part of Ruthless with Easy? What was that like?
Yeah, well, we had a little funk with Death Row in the beginning. I remember one specific time we was when we was doing Thuggish Ruggish Bone, uh Easy E Easy E was doing a radio interview with the big radio station in LA while we were in Cleveland shooting Thuggish Ruggish Bone. And, you know, Easy E just so happened to, while he arguing on the phone over the radio with the dog pound, he put me on the phone. You know what I mean? I end up arguing with Daz. Shout out to Daz, that's my dog though. Now we be laughing about that shit, but we was on the all on the radio, like going back and forth. And then one time, uh, Busy and Daz had a situation, and then it was a bunch of little incidents that happened that could have been a lot worse, but really Easy E stands on that. He didn't want us involved in his beef. You know what I mean? But we was more than willing, more than ready to ride on whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but he was like, "No, I see something different for y'all." So that kind of kept us out of that thing. You know what I mean? So years later, after I met Snoop and Corrupt became my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like my brother. Like that's my brother, man. Like so it was like few years after that, especially after E passed and all that, like we start co-mingling at different places, and we found out how that we all should have really been repping with Easy E in the first place, but it didn't happen like that before he passed. You know, he was working on the reunion with NWA and everything too. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So that shit was in the making as well. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But yeah, man, we had some fallouts with them niggas, man. And them boy, it almost got rough. I remember one time we was in Cleveland and Pac had a show in Cleveland at the I think it was called the Gund Arena at the time. And man, they wouldn't let Bone in. I somehow we slipped it. We got backstage with our connects. Boom, boom. Suge want to call a big meeting in the locker room, try to tell us we need to chill. I'm like, man, fuck all that, nigga. Y'all in Cleveland, and it was like that. You know what I'm saying? But that turned out to be nothing too, because Pac was like, I love these niggas. They cool. You know what I'm saying? So there was some incidents, man, and it could have got bad a few times, but it didn't. And now I know why it didn't, because I think God got a better plan. That's why we rock with Snoop the way we do. That's why we got the Thug Pound. You know what I mean?
Hell
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah.
We
yeah, the
need
Thug
that
Pound
shit.
is gonna Thug Pound something else, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you guys would go on actually to do Thug Love with Tupac.
hmm Yeah, we did Thug. Yeah, we that was probably like 2 years later when Pac first got out. He had the show that was booming. Then about 2 years later, right before Pac died, the Thug Love record happened, and that was Pac and Busy in the studio with the homegirl Silk, and and that manifested like that. But yeah, we went on to make that missile.
Yep. Yep. And
Yeah, that was a missile.
yeah, and even Notorious Thugs, I mean, to have them so close, I mean, the songs were amazing. What was that like to get to do in even that session with Biggie? I know that he had to later on take the beat home and go write his verse on his own time or whatever, but I mean, how did that studio session go? Because another thing that caught my eye when I listened to Notorious Thug is it was just the three of you. There was no Flesh, no
Right.
Wish. What was it like to be in that studio session with Biggie and lay that song? And then why no Wish and no Flesh?
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, Flesh was having troubles with the law at that time, and that's what some at that time it was. He had some trouble with the law that prevented him from being there. And Wish, I think he was just out being Don Dada or some shit, balling and flossing on motherfuckers. Probably, probably was in Cleveland being the man or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, no, man, that session was off the hook. It was about 50 of us in a 20 capacity room. The Hennessy, the old gold. I see y'all got the whole kit out there,
We
you know
got we
what I
got it
mean?
all.
Got the whole kit and caboodle, but pretty much that was the setup. You know what I mean? We smoking, we drinking, we having a great time. Puffy was in the building, Lil C's, Stevie J. Um, Man, it was just like an all day thing. Um, Busy Bone did his part, went in there, killed that shit. Cray went in there, did his part. By that time, I had smoked so much weed, argued with Biggie about where my weed at because he kept putting it in his pocket. And yeah, and then I fell asleep in a limousine. And I remember because we was kicking, it was like a 12-hour session all day with just niggas in and out having fun, kicking it. And, and everybody was just astounded that we was doing this. And I fell asleep in the limousine. I remember somebody came and woke me up and I jumped up out of my sleep. One take recorded that shit. And they was like mind blown and all that. So it was just like that was a day to remember. But it was like brothers from different mothers. We've all had the same goal. And when Biggie he was like, I'm not gonna do mine tonight, man, because we there all night waiting for him.
Hmm.
Like, damn, is he gonna do his part? Now I done woke up out my sleep. Now is he gonna do his part? He like, no, I'm gonna take this shit home.
Mm.
And then unfortunately, we never got to hear his verse until after he passed. But I'm glad he took it home and did that because we was blew back when he started flipping the flow. We was like, oh, we knew that was classical right then, especially with him passing like right before the album came out. That shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Sounds like another example of you guys, a couple people lay their tracks down and everybody sits back and goes, fuck, those bars are hot. We gotta rewrite something. It almost has like a Wu-Tang feel about it. And you kind of mentioned that earlier too, where you're really fighting each other to have the most impressive verse on every track, right?
Oh yeah, iron sharpen iron, man. You know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You can't you can't go to war with a butter knife. You know what I'm saying? You can't be in bone and come to the table with a butter knife. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you need a full full blown sword
Yeah.
to jump into this fight. You know what I'm saying? But but the competition, like I said, it was so healthy. Like the motivation, the inspiration from seeing your boy over in the corner smiling and giggling at himself, writing this shit, then going there and put it down. And now we watching whoever, be it Crazy, Flesh, Wish, whoever in there, we fans of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we rooting the shit on. And then he like, damn, he came so hard. I gotta go back to the drawing board. And
Yeah, man.
that's how you got them songs that's classic. You know what I mean?
Real
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you started creeping on a come up comes out, then it's East 99 internal, and you guys start to do Art of War. And around that time, I mean, it was kind of like almost a mandatory thing for other artists to be like, we want to hit, we got to get Bone on there. So you start to notice Master P, The Last Dawn, you work with him on that. He gets you on I Got the Hookup, and not only on I Got the Hookup, you're on I Got the Hookup, the song, like the main jam on there. So I mean, what was it like working with P and being around No Limit at the time, and you guys being really brought in there because you guys are like really the shit?
Yeah, I mean, I got so much love and respect for P, you know what I mean? Because he know exactly what he wants. You know what I mean? He knew he was like, okay, I'm gonna go drop my shit already. But Lazy, I want you on the next verse, and then Wish I or Cray, I want, you know what I mean? Like he knew what he wanted. And that's what I got from him, like just watching him work and just, being the boss and calling all the shots and knowing exactly what he wanted, you know what I mean? And that helped me when I was working with my Mo Thug artists to say, okay, I, I know who I want to do what, you know what I mean? So just watching him in that capacity, and I was a Master P fan. Cleveland, anybody in Cleveland know when Master P came out, his market was definitely in Cleveland. You know what I mean? So it was like for us to get with him, our city was on fire for that. You know what I mean? Like it
No
was like,
doubt.
nigga, y'all got something with P? Like, yeah. Um, and that's what I took away from P. Like it was professional. It was a lot of people in the studio again, but it was just like boom, boom. I know what I want. Boom, y'all do that, and then on to the next one. So we end up doing more than just that song.
Right
Like an
on.
architect, right?
Yeah, yeah, he had it all planned out, man, and I respected that so much. You know what I mean? Like just the hustle of how it was, it was, it was a bit chaotic, but it was still organized, and I really was digging that.
Organized confusion.
Yeah.
But as long as the
Yeah,
master knows what's going on and he's putting it down, I mean, you just got to follow the way, right? It's great that you can learn some shit from that too and make yourself better.
yeah. I mean, in order to be a great leader, you gotta follow first. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Yeah. Exactly. And I just wanted to get into a little bit about you guys really did stay strong like as a group or whatever, but as time went by, Busy, it sort of looked like from the outside that Busy kind of went off and did a bit of his own thing. Flesh was really doing a lot of like his the Thugs album that he did. I think it was in 96, another amazing album, but you didn't see a lot of like Bone collaboration. It seemed like Busy and Flesh were kind of going in their separate ways and actually still connected with you guys. Like, how was that whole organization going on?
So yeah, I'm glad you asked me that because first of all, L Burner, Lil Lazy Bone is the glue to this thing. You know what I mean? Like those deals that were made solo was negotiated by me and my attorney. You know what I mean? Like, and it started off with a master plan, which I thought, what I think it would have still worked. Sometimes I'd be like, that was the worst thing I could have did, and sometimes it was inevitable. You know what I'm saying? So Flesh and Bone was in trouble with the law. He didn't sign to Ruthless Records, So that's how I was able to get him a deal at Def Jam. One day, Leor Cohen's and DMC from Run DMC popped up at my house, right? They pop up at my house and shit. I couldn't believe it. Run DMC, come on, man. So I'm tripping and shit. They come to my house. I remember my mama cooked chicken and all that. Rest in peace. I just lost my mom, but she cooked chicken and all that type of stuff. And Leo Corn was wanting to sign Bone Thugs and Harmony, but my loyalty to Easy E wouldn't let that happen. You know what I'm saying? So instead of that, I pitched the idea of my brother, Flesh and Bone, is not signed. So he can get a solo deal over there at Def Jam. That's how I got that deal. He was first. Then I took Mo Thug to Relativity Records, and I could have easily negotiated me a deal off the rip, but I didn't feel like I was ready at that time. I never gave a fuck about it like that. I was more of just the gift of gab. I could talk us into anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I did the deal with Relativity for Busy and Crazy Bone. Now my plan was to go Bone Thugs and Harmony, solo, Bone Thugs and Harmony, solo, Bone Thugs and Harmony, solo. You know what I mean? But Busy got into his feelings and he got into himself. And and Crazy Bone. And next thing I know, these niggas rapping. I was so naive that I didn't know they was rapping against each other. You know what I mean? But family always overruled in my mind. You know what I mean? So I let them have a spat, and I kept the deals coming in. But I always made sure that we stayed together as Bone, and it wasn't just me. Wishbone was on the same thing. Our parents was highly influential in us not breaking up. You know what I mean? Because we fought like cats and dogs. But our moms was like, fuck what y'all talking about. Get the y'all, this is family. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, it did go like this, but the family element of it always overrode everything. So Busy Bone got the big head, Crazy Bone. To me, niggas got the big head, and that, hey man, I didn't put out a solo album until 2001. You know what I'm saying? But I did make all those deals happen. I did that. You know what I'm saying? So I take the credit and I take the downfall for it. But everything happened for a reason, and we still standing to this day. So I just felt like Busy was so hungry for it. He wanted it so bad. Let me go get him a deal right quick.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Bone got a billion raps up his sleeve. Let me get him a deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that happened, man. And with everybody having 10, 15 people in our ear after that, that's what I didn't expect. All the influence of the outside people,
Mm-hmm.
which affected the plan. But yeah, that's what it was, man. It went its own way. It ran its course, but at the same time, we were all growing and becoming men. You got to remember, we was children. You know what I'm saying? We was young teenagers when we did all this shit. So now we having kids too. You know what I'm saying? We got niggas getting married and all this. So we had to inevitably go our own way to come back together. You know what I'm saying? So we grew up with the advice of each other, and then we had to go find our way as men. That's how I explain that. But yeah, them deals was legitimate though. Shit. Busy Bone went gold off the rip. Cray went platinum. Flesh went gold. So, you know, by the time I came out, it was just I don't know what I was doing by then. I was still on doing more third probably.
Yeah. And to
I
even
hope
touch
that
on,
answered your question.
yeah, no, it answered it clear, man. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you ended it with Mo Thug because I wanted to get into Mo Thug's Family Scriptures has been one of my favorite albums since I saw it when I was young. And I was like, this shit is just off the hook. So the way that you guys put it together, I mean, I don't think at that time you saw anything done like that with that many people. A compilation that just came out of nowhere with Ken Dog, Graveyard Shift, Poetic Hustlers, Too True, Trey, all of that was just
Right.
amazing to see. So when you guys got into studio, how did you guys kind of come up with that idea? Did you like, I think it was you and Crazy that originally put it together, and Flesh is also a member of Bone and a member of Mo Thug as well. Like he was leading kind
Right.
of the whole army on the back. So I mean, how did that idea come about, and how did you guys figure that whole situation out?
I mean, we just knew that we had all these artists, you know what I'm saying? At that time, soundtracks was really big, you know what I'm saying? So I was watching the formula of soundtracks, like all these different artists on soundtracks come together and make an album. Like, why we can't do that as
Mhm.
a compilation? You know what I'm saying? And then, and Cray, he was feeling all kind of vibes with the music. You know what I'm saying? So it was just inevitable the way it happened, man. It was you got to think Trey. We did talent shows with them. They was the dopest R&B group in the city. You know what I'm saying? So if we won the rap contest, they would win the R&B shit. You know what I'm saying? So then Poetic Hustlers. That's a group that they was all my friends at one point in time. So put them together as a group. You know what I'm saying? So we was just really just vibing and we came together. We was surviving together.
Mhm.
And it just, we really became a family. Like you gotta think, man, like I don't know, it's hard to look back so far now, but it wasn't families and all that, like the Bad Boy family and most and No Limit family and all. We was the very first on that shit. You know what I mean? Since we came out, the game followed everything we did. You
Mhm.
know, the trend of music has not changed since Bone Thugs and Harmony came out.
Yep, exactly.
Fair. I wouldn't mind reflecting on a couple of specific songs. Like you said that Crazy Bones album, that's Thug Mentality 1999, that went platinum. Uh,
Platinum.
Sick. I actually didn't know that. I didn't look that up, but Pimps, Thugs, Hustlers, and Gangsters. You got to work with MJG and 8 Ball on that shit. You and Crazy,
Yeah,
dude, that was
yeah,
sick.
man.
What was that
Well,
like?
in Cleveland, boy, A-Ball, MJG, them was the niggas. If we had, to do something with them, like I said, certain artists that, Cleveland really, really clung to. So the South, especially A-Ball, MJG, man, it was like, them was our brothers too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was into what we was doing. I remember I threw Crazy Bone and Flesh and Bone. Uh, I think it was their 25th birthday parties or something when the first year Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened, and we had it there. And 8 Ball MJG came to the party, blew our mind, right? So from there we formed a relationship, and we start vibing. So that they came down to Cleveland with Tony Draper and all them guys came down, man, and it was like we was forming family all over the world, and that's what that was. They came to the party, and after that, we was just doing shit.
Did you do any more tracks with them?
I believe we did. I can't think of them right now. I did so many songs in my life, but it's
Yeah.
other stuff out there floating around.
Oh hell yeah. We focus so much on the 90s because so much of that music, I mean, everybody did a ton of it in the 90s, and it's kind of a nice era for us to focus in on. But you get a track like that and you always wonder, holy shit, was there more of that, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It definitely is. I can't think of it, but somebody gonna do their homework and
Yeah.
discover it. But yeah,
I'll
we
be looking.
get more than just that song.
Yeah.
Now what about Spice One? The only track I found that you were with them was not till 2015. Was there any reason you guys
Right.
didn't work in the 90s?
Um, I don't know why we didn't work because I always been the Spice One fan.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like when Spice One came out, man, it was like he had that he had a little flip flop flow a little bit. You know what I mean? And he just sent me another song to get on too. Matter of
Mm.
fact, I needed to do that. But I don't know what happened in the '90s. Why we didn't collect. Maybe we just was missing each other. We was in them streets and shit. You know, we it was wild back then.
The reason I ask is because I found you kind of had on Faces of Death when you were coming out. First of all, I thought you were by far the most lyrical cat on that album. Nothing against the rest of the other guys, but lyrically, you just kind of resonated for me. And you had a sort of DOS Effects Spice One vibe going on because you did have that da 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 sort of
Mm.
flow on a couple of those tracks. Was there a reason that flow of yours or that formula you had going on didn't continue? You used it a few times on that album.
Um, well, my flow is a little slower. I'm not the fastest rapper in the group. You know what I'm saying? So that was me developing, me picking up my pace. So I would hype them up, spike them up, and pop it in my clip.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Bouncing.
So I would have that bouncy flow like that. But yeah, but as time went on, I was trying to become more like my group. I wanted to be like Crazy Busy, Wishing Flesh. You know what I
Fair enough.
mean? But I was influenced by DOS Effects, and I was influenced by Spice One. I was influenced by DJ Quick a lot too, because DJ Quick used to give you, he would always put an instrumental on his album. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, he give you some shit to write to and everything. So yeah, I was heavily influenced by everybody though, man. Like I was totally into the music.
Mhm. And speaking of like when we were talking about Notorious Thugs, and not only did you got to work with Biggie and Pac, you make Thug Love. It's a legendary song, Notorious Thugs, a legendary song. But if I'm not mistaken, too, like even with the album that you put together, Thugs for Flesh, he kind of was the first guy to really do anything with Big Pun as well.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, man. And so we used to run with the Terror Squad a lot too. You know what I'm saying? Like Fat Joe's first video, um, good time, good time, shit like that. We was in that video with Fat Joe, you know what I mean? So we start forming a relationship with Big Pun, and him and my brother hit it off big time. You know what I'm saying? So they would go to the studio together, Big Pun and Flesh and Bone, by Flesh being on Def Jam and being out there on the East Coast. You know what I mean? He got him, he was with the Terror Squad, and they did not just one song, they did more than one song too. That one song ended up making that particular album. But yeah, like rest in peace, Big Pun, man. My brother and Big Pun, they had a great relationship. He was our brother too. Fat Joe, Big Pun, you know, the whole Terror Squad back then. You know what I mean? It was our dogs for real.
So there's some unreleased Big Pun Flesh and Bone songs.
Somewhere, man. I'm gonna find these songs one day. When I decide I don't want to do it no more, I'm gonna go through my archives and pull all this shit out.
Sick.
Yeah, you got to do that. Um, there's one thing that I definitely wanted to ask too, because the song is just absolutely amazing to pretty much the entire world. What was it like for the process doing first of the month? Just it's too good to not ask, man. What was that studio session like, from the beat to the recording to just everything about it?
Well, first of all, it was the first of the month
Okay.
when we did. You know, it
Yeah.
was the first of the month when we recorded that, but nobody never asked us that either. That's crazy. But yeah, it was the first of the month. I remember it was the homeboy Aaron studio. We was right there we was in Hollywood, but he had a grill in the back. You know what I'm saying? So we put the grill, well, we had the grill going in that motherfucker. Damn near burned my homeboy studio down. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, somebody had took the bottle and did like this, and the shit got all in the grill, and he did, and then I remember saying it's the first of the month, and then that's how that shit went.
Yeah.
It was the first of the month, and we was grilling and chilling and smoking and drinking, and then that was the song.
Yeah.
We
Unbelievable.
was we was celebrating. We was celebrating getting money.
Well, it's funny too because that's a huge weed song, weed anthem, and
Uh,
Eternal has 3 weed anthems on it. I
you
don't think
know,
there's another album like that.
no, man. I mean, we got the weed anthems. Bottom line, I know Snoop. He well known for weed and Cypress Hill, all my brothers and all that. But we got the dopest weed songs.
Yeah.
Like we probably got more weed songs than any other collective than anybody. You know what I mean? But
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
so
Absolutely.
we was smoking big on East 1999. Three weed songs end up on one album.
And
You
killed it
know.
the whole way through. Hey, Layzie, man, we really appreciate you coming through the 90 Proof Lounge tonight, man, and blessing us with these conversations, man. We loved having you here. We'd love to have you back again, man. It's been great. It's been amazing, man. You're a legend to the game, and we really appreciate you coming through here.
Uh, man, I had a good time with y'all fellas, man. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. Keep that 90s music alive because it is the golden era of this hip hop thing, man. And I appreciate what y'all doing. And follow me on my social media, man. On IG is enough, the real Lazy Bone. You know, and look out for
All
that new
over.
record,
Nice.
look out for that new record, Hypnotic Rhythms, man. And just follow me. I got a lot of stuff going. You know what I mean? I appreciate the support too.
Absolutely, Layzie, man. We look forward to talking to you again in the future, man. And the support's always there, man. 90 Proof, Scott Love.
Peace.
All right, man. Later.
Bless, man. All right.
Peace.